Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Mentorship Program. Advantages and disadvantages of office buildings. An office building like this is a pretty nice looking office building. 4 stories, nicely landscaped. They aren't all like that, but they can be like that. Office buildings are a very popular type of commercial real estate with some very distinct advantages in terms of financing, in terms of the clientele, in terms of the product itself. What I'd like to do is go through exactly what I think the highlights are for you as an investor. It's a professional business arrangement. This is business. You have a client who wants to move in the place, they want to lease it, or you inherit someone who's already leasing it. This is a business where they have people working for them. This is where they're running their business out of it, or a part of their business out of it. It is a business, not a residential deal completely. This is one of the key important points on office buildings' advantages. A triple net lease. What the heck is that? It means that if you're looking at this building here, and we've got 8 floors. Let's say each floor is one client. Each one of those 8 tenants will pay you 1/8 of the property taxes, 1/8 of the insurance policy to cover everything on the property, 1/8 of all maintenance and repairs, and pay for their own utilities. That means your income is really net of all those expenses. So your income is pure income, because the only thing you can really think of outside of that would be a major repair not covered by the insurance policy or something like that. Or if you had a situation where you had to release it up, because they're not paying the sales commissions as a triple net feature, but you can lease it up yourself. You can hire a firm to do it. If you inherit a property which is already leased up, you don't have to pay any commissions at all. The seller is going to pay the commissions on the sale, and you don't have to pay for the lease commissions because they're already paid up front by the previous owner when the lease was let. Triple net is killer. It provides you with pure income. It's not like an apartment building where you have to pay the property taxes, you have to pay the insurance, you have to pay the utilities, you have to pay all the maintenance. They're not paying any portion of that, and they never will. That's not what they do. So the reality is this. The residential deal, when an apartment building, they don't pay any of those expenses whatsoever, and they never will. But triple net leases ensure that you get pure income. Capital appreciation. Well, I'm not into real estate gambling. Obviously, over time, if you own a property and it increases in value, you have capital appreciation. As the rents go up, and office rents are at a lifetime high in most jurisdictions, as the rents stay up and continue to go up, that you're going to have increased value, which means you have increased capital appreciation. You have the multi-unit economic value and the equity buildup. So those are really 2 separate things, but let me talk to you about why they blend together. When you have an apartment building or an office building or something else, you have economic value as opposed to a house. But when you come to economic value, when it comes to an office building, you have real economic value because you have triple net value. It's one location, it's one building, and you get all of the tenants who pay their prorated portion, whether it's 1/3, 1/2, whatever their portion of the building is, they're paying it to you monthly, quarterly, and you can figure out what that's going to be, and you can build them in advance, so you're working on other people's money, their money. Because you tell them my property taxes this year are $100,000. Each one of you own 1/8 of that. You also own 1/8 of the insurance policy of $20,000, or the maintenance of proposed of $50,000. They would have to pay 1/8, 1/3, 1/4, whatever their portion of the building is, to you, and you can build them quarterly in advance and operate with their money in your hand before you have to put out the expenses. Reconcile it at the end of the year, and then go ahead and do it again year after year after year, with cash flow coming in from them up front before you put out the money. That's economic value. Also, they're making your loan payments, aren't they? So you have equity buildup, not only from the payments that you're making going to principal, but by any capital appreciation or any other further economic value. Someone will recognize, obviously, if you have a triple net lease, the value of the income, the NOI, is even more significant because it is higher. That's economic value and equity buildup. You don't have to buy a monster building like I showed you. You can buy a little smaller office building. Just because it's a smaller office building doesn't mean it can't have the same advantages of triple net leases, and it can't have the advantages they're all businesses. It's a matter of doing something that makes sense for you and for the clients so you can help them out. You can have an office building. You don't have to start off with a big monster. Start with something within your comfort zone. Now, through this course, I'm giving you the skills, the tool sets, and all the insights of 40-plus years of street smarts in the commercial arena. You'll know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and what to do, and what not to do, step by step. But starting small is okay. Partial or full seller financing is possible, up to 100%. Absolutely. Because the people who own the office building may have little or no debt. And the amount of money they would get, so let's say you're buying the building in front there for a couple $1,000,000. If they provide you the $2.5 million, all the financing, you don't have to come up with anything down. Not the 40% down you have to do when you go to a lending institution. The lenders in this office building will want 30 to 40% down, cash, no secondary financing. Or they could want 30, 40% down, but they will allow you to get partial seller financing because it's subordinated behind them, which means their lien is the primary lien and the seller's second loan or second TD or second mortgage is behind theirs. So they still have the collateral protection of the LTV they wanted. When you're looking at seller financing, it's possible. If you don't ask, you don't get. Now, why would someone in their right mind let you buy a building with nothing down? Well, the example is the following. You make an offer to buy it for 20% down. Now, let's say it's a $1 million building, $200,000 down, and you talk with them about what they're going to do with the money. You're going to do something conservative, like put it in the bank, not blow it on toys and so forth, because these people are more stable than that. Right now, banks and financial institutions are paying less than 1%. In fact, they're paying less than 0.5%. 0.3%, maybe to 0.5% on a $100,000 CD. That's ridiculous, absurd, and frankly insulting. So if you give them $800,000, they're going to make 8 times $500. That's nothing. $4,000 on $800,000. Whereas if you tell them, look, I can give you safety, security, and collateral, the building will be there, the cash flow from the building is there, and as I said before, you're not the primary source of repayment. You never were, you never will be. The NOI is the primary source of payment. The secondary source of payment is in the loan agreement that every commercial lender will do. He's got to have an ability, in the event you don't make your payments on time, he can order the tenants to pay him directly, or them directly, and then they'll remit to you the difference net of what they want, what they're taking out for making their loan payment. Well, that means you're not even second. You're not even, are you third? No, the building is third. The physical building is third, which means you're the fourth source of repayment. Now, the seller knows the value of the building. If you approach them and say, look, if I gave you $1 million, the whole thing in cash for that $1 million building, you're going to get $5,000. $5,000 on $1 million, whereas I'll pay you 5% interest. Could you pay him 5% interest? Is that a reasonable rate? I think so. That would be a whole lot more than that. More than 5 would be $50,000. Now, would they be better off with $50,000 with the whole building as collateral behind it? Or maybe they only gave you $200,000. That's fine. They'll make more than the $200,000 from you than they'll make on the other money they have in the bank, earning 0.5% per year. Yes. If you don't ask, you're going to get. Seller financing is, if you do a frontal attack and say, hey, seller financing, what do you think? The answer is going to be no. You need to address their problem, solve their problem, put the overarching framework in place. If I could show you how you could make a better return with safety, security, and collateral, could we talk? Who in their right mind is going to say no to that? That's smart money. That's what you need to do, get the seller financing. You need more stable income in comparison with other commercial properties, especially the ones where you have more risk. When you have an office building, it's usually a 3, 5, 7, 10-year lease with an option to renew. They're building their business on that address. Now, if you have a month-to-month apartment building, not so stable. If you have a little strip shopping center with a lot of small mom and pops, there might be some turnover. There might be annual leases. It might be 2-year leases, but they're not 10-year leases. It's just not the way it works in all probability. Could they be there for 10 years for you? Absolutely. I'm not besmirching the strip shopping centers because it's a great way to start on, other than residential, on retail with a strip center. More stable income compared to most other commercial properties. They have longer leases than multifamily. I said 3, 5, 7, 10 or longer year leases. That doesn't happen in an apartment building. It's month to month, 6 months, a year, rarely longer than a year with a renewal, or a chance for them to go someplace else at a lower rate or get a competitive deal, or get 1 or 2 months free rent concession from the other property who's competing with you, who's already got 5% vacancy. They like to steal your tenant. The longer leases make office buildings better than multifamily real estate. Not that multifamily real estate is bad, but I like longer leases, especially with the triple net. And taxes, insurance, property taxes, insurance, and expenses. Vacancy risks are lower and easier to control because there's not that much turnover. If they're there for 3 to 5, 10 years, you don't likely to have a vacancy. Now, some people could downsize, some people could move, but the reality is you'll know what's going on here, and you have a spot you can do it, and it's generic. An office building is set up. It's not like you have a single-purpose, single-user facility, maybe a trucking terminal or something like that. Any office building can be used for any purposes, whether it's services, sales, I don't know. It could be for anything. It's a building with open space. It's easier to fill those vacancies. An SBA 504 or 504A loan is great for an owner-occupied building. If it's an owner-user and you can get a long-term loan, at least an immediate-term loan, from the SBA. It's actually from a local lending institution, backed by a guarantee from the SBA and a commercial operation that facilitates that. And you could get up to 90% loan, LTV. 90%. If you're using the building yourself, and if it's a new building, you've got to use somewhere in 70-75% of the building. If it's an existing building, you have to at least have 51% that you're using. 90% loan? Does that help you out? Absolutely. Now, SBA loans have rules. They take time. Bear that in mind. I would use a mortgage broker if I were you, or go to someone who's a sophisticated, experienced, major SBA loan lender. Long-term capital appreciation. Obviously, the longer we hold this building, the more it's going to be worth. And with the cash flow coming in, which is triple net, and all the money is going to your pocket because it's N, that value continues to grow. As it grows, you're going to have more equity. You're going to have appreciation from the increased value. Long-term capital appreciation is part of the advantages of an office building. Equity buildup. If those payments coming in, holy mackerel, they're paying the property taxes, they're paying the insurance, they're paying the maintenance, and they're making your mortgage payment. Some portion of that payment, which is pure income, will go to make your payment. Could you increase the amount of money you pay extra to increase your equity? Or do whatever you want to do? Could you make an equity investment in the property? Yes, you could. But with triple net leases, it's pure, simple income. You have no expenses going against that, except for the income tax. Is that good? Absolutely. Will your equity build up? Positively, absolutely. Economic value is there. With credit tenants. What's a credit tenant? Someone, if you have a major corporation, a Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, Inc. 100, Inc. 1000, someone who has some credit value, would your building be more perceived as a quality building with triple net income coming in from a Fortune 500 company who's solid, real, and doing well in the stock market? Would it be okay to have a Microsoft or an Apple in your building? Of course it would. Now, Well, they probably, maybe sometimes their own buildings. Of course they do. I've been in the compound at Cupertino. I've been in the compound at Microsoft. But the reality is they don't own all their buildings. Lots of other big companies, names you know, would be great economic value. And the credit tenant increases the value of those leases because they know they're dependable. And so does your prospective buyer. Tax benefits, such as depreciation, are out there and available. Now, in some cases, you could even do a cost segregation on an office building. That's not often done, but it can be done, particularly if a lot of tenant improvements were going in there. And that might be depreciated over maybe a 7-year time frame of the tenant improvements, as opposed to a 39-year depreciation schedule. Absolutely, positively, depreciation could be very, very valuable. It could actually shelter a substantial amount of your income. Now, why would I say there's reduced competition from other investors to purchase office buildings? Think about yourself. Before you started taking this course, I am convinced that some of you, maybe a majority of you, were a little out of your comfort zone. It was daunting to think you could buy a commercial office building or a commercial building or a big apartment building. Oh, how can I do that? Well, you'll know how to do it, what to do, how to do it, and how to do it now. Because I'm putting my 40-plus years of street smarts on the table for you and opening the door to tell you exactly how to do, what to do, when to do it, and what not to do. But I will tell you point blank, these buildings do scare off other investors because it's outside of their comfort zone. But because of the training and insights I'm giving you, it will be in your comfort zone. You know that you can do it, and you know what's possible to do. So that means there are people out there who you're not going to have to compete with because they're afraid of it. They're intimidated by it. And you're not going to be. When you overlay triple net income from an office building, quality tenants, long-term leases, depreciation benefits, and cash flow coming in where it's real true net income, and long-term capital appreciation, economic value, and there are lots of people who can lease out buildings for you and property manage them for, or you can do it yourself. That reduced competition makes it possible for you to have more opportunities. And if you'll go outside of the box, I will tell you point blank, yes, I'm a broker. Yes, I have lots of clients. But the reality is, our family, myself, have not paid retail for buildings. Why would you? You can buy a building and reposition it. Do you have to buy something that's listed? Not necessarily. You can find buildings that are tired that need your help. And these people are more incentivized because they're not finding people beating down their door to list their property for sale. The buyers are receptive. There are fewer competitors as investors. So is there reduced competition and more opportunity? Absolutely. Tons of competition in other arenas, but not in the commercial. Increased potential positive cash flow. If you get the income and it's coming in and they come up for renewal and a lease, could you raise the rent? Mm-hmm. Could you increase the value? Are they still going to pay the triple net feature? Yep, they are. Now, if you have more income and you have negligible expenses because of the triple net feature, are you going to have increased positive cash flow? Positively, pun intended. These are business tenants. They're not residential tenants. These are not the rotten renters of the houses in the slums or the rotten renters who are just in any community as residential. They're not treating it because it's not their home. They don't care about it. But this is the business presence. This is the business of the location they're bringing clients into, their employees into. They have a sense of pride, not a sense of ownership, but a sense of pride. Look at the tenant improvements in this building. Nice cubicles, maybe some nice offices off to the left there. Yes, this is a nice office with pride of occupancy, and it represents who they are, what they are. And this is a different class of people than dealing with people in single-family houses or in environments where you have people who don't care about the property. They have no incentive to treat your house with respect, but these people do. It's their place of business. They're bringing the public in here. Is it going to have trash around? Is it going to be damaged? Is it going to be a disaster? Absolutely, positively not. Why would you do that? I'd rather do business with a business tenant. I relate more to that. That's my style. And I don't know if it's your style or not, but I think it ought to be. Owning an office building is not without some drawbacks, and I'll be candid, I'll tell you what they are. It may require some more professional expertise than you have. Well, maybe not when you finish this program, or when you build your team, because you could have a real estate property manager, professional, that kind of cash flow. That would be your only expense, wouldn't it? You need to have a more sophisticated team than you would in just having a single-family house, because you're going to have more income, more cash flow. So that would be smart to have a team. Is that a disadvantage? I don't know. From my perspective, it just makes common sense. If you've got this cash flow coming in and you have an opportunity and all the other expenses are paid for, could you hire someone to help you out property managing the facility or leasing it up? Absolutely. Because not only am I a real estate investor, not only am I a real estate broker, I'm a general contractor over 25 years. I'm an engineering contractor. I built over 3.8 million square feet of office buildings. So I know what it takes to build one. I will tell you that building new has issues because you have to go through the process of getting permits, buying the land, changing the zoning, managing the contractor, avoiding overcharges or drawing change orders so they add additional costs in there. You could buy an existing building, but you might have to do new tenant improvements because if you have an existing building with less than full occupancy because you're buying it at a substantial discount, wouldn't that make sense? Could you reposition it? Could you put new tenants in there? What if you got someone who's willing to pay you $2, $3 a square foot for the building per month and pay their prorated portion of the property tax, insurance, and maintenance? My gosh, you get rid of part of the expenses you're currently carrying when it's empty. Plus, you're getting cash flow and having them pay for it completely. Could you afford to invest in some tenant improvements? Yes, you could. Now, the way it works in office buildings, shopping centers, and other commercial properties is you as the landlord might give your tenant, prospective tenant, a building allowance of so many dollars per square foot. Let's say you gave them $20 per square foot to build out the things they want. And they want to have more fancy things than that. They want to have $40 a square foot. Well, you're not likely to factor that into your lease because you're going to factor your $20 in. And you tell them, great, I'll put in 20, you put in 20. You put your 20 into escrow, it'll be used for paying the work to get the work done. It's a little more hassle, but what a great opportunity to increase your tenant cash flow, increase the quality of your tenants, increase the rates they're paying. In a new lease, it's going to have a higher rate. So building and new buildings, while they have more complications, the balance is it's also an opportunity. Out of this opportunity to have more involvement, could you make more money? Yep, you could. Maintenance is going to be covered for 100% by your tenants in a triple net lease. So would you clean those windows? Would you make sure things are done and everything's done right and the maintenance, everything's working? Absolutely. You're billing your client for 100% of all that stuff. So what's the issue? They know they got to pay for it and they want to live in a quality place. So having it maintained to their standard to make your standard or their standard a higher one? Absolutely. Proper management by you or a professional management company are critical. You need to be responsive. If they have a need, you need to be able to respond. You need to have your property manager who's available to get on site. You don't have to have an on-site manager when you have a big office building. You can. But if you have a 2-3-story building and each tenant's got a floor, how much is there to do really, logistically, in terms of management? Just make sure the utilities are operating and everything's going good and there's no issues with the building. Those two issues are fixable and doable, and the maintenance, you're gonna build them 100% for it, along with the property taxes, along with the insurance, and all the maintenance and repairs. Is it worth it? Absolutely, positively. Buying office buildings and shopping centers and those things have made more billionaires and multi-millionaires, period. It is a very, very good business. You need to know what you're doing. You need to go through this course. Listen to what I'm sharing with you with 40 plus years of street smarts, building, buying, and mentoring people how to do this business as a broker, as a mortgage broker, as a builder, as an owner of a manager. I've managed $16 billion of commercial real estate. I think I know a bit about the business. I'm sharing all the insights with you because I've had everything from grocery stores, parking lots, drive-in theaters, shopping centers, office buildings. You name it, I've been involved in it, or built it, or managed it, or turned it around. It can be very, very lucrative. But nothing's going to happen until you change what you're doing. Get into the new comfort zone that, yes, you can do it with the skill sets and tools that I'm giving you on how to do what to do and what not to do, step by step. This is what it's all about, helping you become an informed, intelligent, commercial real estate investor. Take care.